You know, guys, ever since this story broke yesterday that Busisiwe Mkhwebane has officially joined the EFF, I've heard people saying that I didn't think that Mkhwebane was going to join the EFF. How can she do something like that? I didn't see this one coming. Basically, the sentiment that I got from the people is that people didn't think that Mkhwebane was going to join the EFF, which made me realize that people are not paying attention to what has been happening right now. Because, guys, if you have been paying attention, you have to understand that Mkhwebane hates the ANC and Mkhwebane hates the DA. Why? Because both of these parties, they colluded and kicked her out of the office of the public protector. They gave her the worst record, man, there in the public protector's office, man. This lady, you have to understand that she's the first impeached public protector in South African history. So whoever is going to read about South African history, we're going to have to read about Busisiwe Mkhwebane 50 years down the line. When your children talk about the public protector, they're going to talk about Busisiwe Mkhwebane and being the first impeached public protector. So she had to join the EFF. Because I know that this is about revenge. I know that she said that it's not about revenge, but I understand it is about revenge. You wanted to make the ANC pay. You wanted to make the DA pay for what they have done to you. And joining the EFF, man, it makes sense. And I understand why you're doing what you are doing, man. This is politics at the end of the day. It's politics. I understand, man, even the way Ramaphosa treated Mkhwebane, man. You know, for some reason, I thought that Mkhwebane is the member of the African National Congress. Guys, am I the only one who thought that Mkhwebane is the member of the African National Congress? I honestly thought that Mkhwebane is the member of the ANC, but the way Ramaphosa was treating him, man. You know one thing about Ramaphosa, man. Ramaphosa does not discriminate. When it comes to hitting people hard, Ramaphosa does not discriminate. Ramaphosa treated Busisiwe Mkhwebane the same way he treated Ismail. You can go and ask Ismail. Ramaphosa hit him hard with his belt. Ramaphosa treated Magashule like Magashule was never a member of the African National Congress. He kicked Magashule out of the African National Congress. So I think this is why I thought that Mkhwebane is the member of the African National Congress, because I know Ramaphosa does not discriminate, man. You know, with Zuma was lied to the comrades, but Ramaphosa is vicious, especially to these comrades or anyone who comes to his way. Ramaphosa is very vicious, man. Like I'm telling you, man, you can go and ask Magashule. You can go and ask Kalnias, man. Kalnias is still crying today. He's crying about the African National Congress till today. Because Ramaphosa, man, whiplash, that guy doesn't care, man, if you have 50, like that. Ramaphosa doesn't care if you have been with the ANC for 50 years, man. The guy is going to kick you out. If you dare disturb him, the guy is going to kick you out. The same thing he did with Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Ramaphosa didn't care about the history books. He doesn't care about the fact that we're going to learn about this. Children are going to learn about Busisiwe Mkhwebane being the first impeached public protector in South African history. He doesn't care about that. So guys, what are your thoughts, man, on this whole thing about Busisiwe Mkhwebane joining the EFF? Do you think that it is a good move for Busisiwe Mkhwebane to join the EFF, or do you think that it was a bad move for Busisiwe Mkhwebane to join the EFF? And if you don't think that Busisiwe Mkhwebane should have joined the EFF, which party do you think that Busisiwe Mkhwebane should have joined? Don't come and say that you think Busisiwe Mkhwebane should open up a new political parties. Guys, I'm sick and tired of these new political parties. I know I'm not the only one. Many of us right now are sick and tired of these new political parties. But I would like to hear your thoughts, man. What kind of contributions do you think that Mkhwebane is going to do to the economic freedom fighters? How do you think she's going to contribute to the economic freedom fighters? Does Mkhwebane know something about the ANC? Because, guys, this move is very tactical, man. I know that Mkhwebane joined the EFF right now as a party member, but it is not going to take long before you see Busisiwe Mkhwebane in parliament. They did the same thing with Mzwanele Manyi. Mzwanele Manyi joined the EFF. Before you know it, Mzwanele Manyi was in parliament under the EFF. So you are going to see Busisiwe Mkhwebane in parliament. That is going to be a slap in the face to the ANC and the DA, man. After working so hard to kick Busisiwe Mkhwebane out of the governance, only to see her coming as a member of parliament. What are your thoughts, man, guys? Please tell me what you think about this whole thing of Busisiwe Mkhwebane joining the economic freedom fighters. So, guys, this is a clip right here. It was released, I think, yesterday after she has joined the economic freedom fighters. And Busisiwe Mkhwebane right now is telling South Africans why she joined the economic freedom fighters.
I'm here. This is my political home now. I'll be learning the ropes from my colleagues and fellow commissars and fighters, so that we can continue and protect the poor and the marginalized. So I joined EFF because...
Hey, but that is such a good reason, man, to join South Africa. You know that the fact that South Africa, we have so many people that are poor, man. It is easy for you to start up and join a political party, or join a political party on a basis of protecting and saving the poor. So South Africans being poor is being politicized right now. Politicians understand that a lot of people in South Africa are poor. So if you join politics, you must come and say that you are going to serve and work for the poor. It feels like politicians will never bring solutions to poor people because they want them to stay poor so that they can keep saying that we want to work for the poor. Am I making sense? I mean, like, that would be the first thing I would say, guys. If I were to run, or if I were to join any political party, that is the first thing that I would say. I would say that I want to serve the poor, because knowing exactly that South Africa has a lot of people that are poor. So that is a very popular statement, man. You don't have to focus on the details. No, you know that in South Africa you cannot focus on the details. It's a rhetoric, man. It's all about rhetoric.
Because I could relate to the 7 cardinal pillars. I joined EFF because our people are landless, and EFF is saying they would make sure that they expropriate the land without compensation.
Guys, you know, hey, this whole thing of land, man, I've been reading people's comments on that video that we did of Gareth Cliff and pressing that EFF member of parliament about the land, man. And one thing that people are concerned about is if the EFF comes to power and the EFF expropriates land without compensation, and now the South African land belongs to the state, how do we know that the EFF is not going to distribute the profitable land to their cadres, to their comrades, and to their families? How do we know that South Africa is not going to find itself in the same position that Zimbabwe is in right now? Because that is the same promise that Mugabe made to the people of Zimbabwe, that we're going to expropriate this land without compensation. It is our land. Our land should work for us. But what you see right now, Zimbabweans are leaving Zimbabwe and coming to South Africa. Why? Because the land in Zimbabwe, the profitable land in Zimbabwe, is not owned by average Zimbabweans. It is owned by ZANU-PF cadres. So how do we know that what's happening right now is not going to happen there in the future? And I think it is a concern that the EFF needs to address. The EFF needs to speak on this whole thing, because people are concerned that, guys, if you expropriate the land, how do we know that you are going to expropriate? You are going to distribute all the profitable land to your friends and your families. How do we know? Because at the end of the day, you guys are politicians. You are politicians, so you have to treat you like politicians. I'm sorry that the ANC right now is the one that has set the bar, but we are going to judge you based on the ANC. We are going to judge you on what the ANC is doing. So this whole thing of we are going to expropriate the land and distribute it equally to South Africans, guys, there are so many questions on this whole thing, because I was like, the other day I was sitting and thinking, like, okay, let's say the EFF expropriates land without compensation, and people are applying to start up the farms. People are applying to... Who is going to help those people financially? Because they say that they are also going to nationalize the mines and the mines and the banks are going... the Reserve Bank will now be under the state, solely under the state, so the state will be able to finance people who want the land, people who want to start in farming and whatever. So I'm like, where will the money come from? Where will the money come from? I think about some of these things, man, and I'm like, damn, man, we have so many questions, and it's 2024, and people are expected to make this decision harshly. And we really need to think about these things, man. You are going to expropriate the land, but how do we know that that land that you have expropriated, you are going to distribute it equally? How do you know that? How do we know as citizens? How do we know as citizens that you are not going to distribute the profitable land to your cadres and your families? How do we know? What kind of assurances do you have for South Africans? Your word, it's your word enough? What kind of assurances, man? And to the people that will be applying to start up their farms and whatever, and the state will be helping these people. Where will the state get the money, guys? Where will the state get the money? So I think this whole land expropriation thing, man, like, it needs to be discussed. And I feel like, honestly, it hasn't been discussed thoroughly. And it is one policyman that can, like, guys, this whole policyman, it can like, guys, it can shake things up in South Africa, man. It can turn this whole country upside down. The same way it did with Zimbabwe. It did with Zimbabwe. You have Zimbabweans right now that are telling South Africans that, no, you guys there in South Africa, you are happy, but everything is owned by white people. And you have South Africans reminding them that you guys have the land in Zimbabwe, but here you are in South Africa bothering us. You have the land in Zimbabwe. Why is the land not working for you? Because all the profitable land in Zimbabwe now belongs to the cadres of ZANU-PF. The ZANU-PF cadres are the only ones that are benefiting from the profitable land in Zimbabwe. They're benefiting from the mineral resources and the land in Zimbabwe. People are left with useless land. So how do we know that the EFF is not going to do the same thing that ZANU-PF did? I'm not saying that they can't do it, but I'm saying, how do we know that they are not going to do it the same way that Zimbabwe did? And we are voting next year. I think in April or May. I think we are voting next year. Do you honestly feel like this whole thing of land expropriation without compensation has been discussed thoroughly? I don't think so, man. I don't. Because the one argument that a lot of people are making when you talk about Zimbabwe is the fact that Zimbabwe has been sanctioned. So how do we know that South Africa is also not going to be sanctioned? Can we trust the BRICS? Because the Chinese and the Russians, man, just like everyone else, they want the mineral resources of Africa. The Chinese and the Russians, they want the mineral resources of Africa. So how do we know?
I joined EFF because I believe in the fact that the state should be the owners. The state should be creating an enabling environment for the poor and the marginalized, especially on issues of economy. We should be owning the economic structures which are there, the banks, the insurance companies and everything. And as well, the issues of the health.
You know, the ideas are good, man. I'm not going to lie. You see the EFF, man. That's why the EFF is not hard for them to sell their ideas to the people. The ideas, they sound good. But the question I have for the EFF is that, does the EFF have capable cadres to implement all of these ideas they are talking about? Because they sound good. But are they capable of delivering all of these promises that they are making to South Africans? Are they capable there in the EFF? Because the ideas are like, guys, we have to be honest. This is why the EFF right now is basically the only party that has been growing right now in South Africa. I'm only talking about the first three parties, the DA and the ANC. For the past two elections, man, the DA and the ANC, man, have been going down. And the EFF has been going up. Because the ideas sound good. They're perfect. They're nice. But are they capable?
System which is not benefiting the poor and the marginalized. Education should be free and all those. So that's why I made sure that I joined EFF and believing in economic development, believing as well in the issues of state bank. So I could relate to that. Hence, as the public protector, I always said, I will protect the poor and the marginalized. And this is giving me an opportunity to continue doing that.
So guys, what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts on this whole thing of Busisiwe Mkhwebane joining the Economic Freedom Fighters, man? And what are your thoughts on what I've been trying to articulate? What are your thoughts, man, guys? Please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.